We are super proud to announce that Stay Plugged In is now sponsored by HyperX for our online events for the month of August. Prizes will include a Cloud Stinger wireless headset and a Cloud Stinger wired headset for our Turbo Tuesday tournaments for the first and second winning teams. And then for our Valorant tournaments, which are every other week on Thursdays and Fridays, that will be the Alloy Origins Core Mechanical Gaming Keyboard, HX Red, and the Pulsefire FPS Pro Gaming Mouse, which the keyboard is for first place and the mouse is for second place. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Spincast. We are back on the great topic of collegiate esports. Today, joining us, we have Jordan Oliver. He is the esports head coach at Randolph College. Without further ado, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself. Tell us where those passions came from in esports and how you took a love for gaming to becoming the esports head coach at Randolph College, and kind of what your path looked like.
Sure, yeah. So as you said, Jordan Oliver, head esports coach at Randolph College. I've only been with Randolph since the beginning of the year. So just spring semester was my first one here. Grew up probably like at least half the people you hear from, I'm sure, loving games, NES, SNES, Game Boy, Sega. I think we had every console between me and my brother growing up. So really lucky to have that experience, sort of see it evolve, and take it to the next level as far as going from GoldenEye to Halo and really big into the RTS scene, StarCraft, Age of Empires, whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, taking that love and just kind of sticking with it, doing a lot of LAN parties, organizing those growing up, and then went to college at Florida State for journalism and then marketing at University of South Florida in Tampa. So that sort of gave me a good background as far as covering it and marketability, content creation, before really content creation was a thing. So I did freelance right out of college. Sort of started up my own website, started building a portfolio, which I highly suggest to anybody out there. Always create something if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Worked my way around the world, just traveling, doing freelance work. Started to gear it towards esports in the last 4 or 5 years as it grew and there was sort of a need for it. So that was awesome already. I mean, that was super. I was really thankful just to be making money in the space and covering esports events internationally or just remotely from analytics side, but just kind of using journalism best practices. So from there, once I saw that there was sort of a market and an esports ecosystem sort of building that, it's needing more than just players, as we were talking about. I went to UCI. I'm doing the continuing education online for their esports management, which is really cool. A lot of good networking through there. And then Randolph College started their search and reached out to me. I was in South Florida at the time and flew me up. We did an interview by committee, which is pretty typical in higher education. So everybody kind of gets to pick you apart and see if you're a good match. And through some interesting developments, I ended up moving up to Lynchburg, Virginia. So here we are.
Awesome.
Yeah, very thankful to have the opportunity.
Yeah, 100%. Sounds like a great backstory there. Kind of diving straight into the program at Randolph College. Take the viewers through what the program looks like, how it operates, what affiliation you have with the university, club, varsity sport, anywhere in between, what that looks like, and then kind of your logistical structure as well, so to say.
Yeah. So we are actually part of Student Life. We're not an athletic program. So I'm in the Dean of Students hallway right next to, Student Life, Resident Life. It's sort of a space that's more, we're building out as a community, obviously team environment. We're going to have an academy level and a varsity level, but really we want it to be a community for everyone that's there. And also the public, as we move past COVID, we really want to open up and do a lot of remote events in town, high schools, middle schools, sort of give access to these cool machines that we, I would have loved to have been playing on when I was young. So spring was our first semester. We're a NACE member school. We're looking at joining some other leagues and conferences for the fall, but also doing, test bus, some Collegiate Star League events, and then just some like one-off open tournaments. So right now, I think we're at 24 students. We're hoping to be at 40 in the fall in some capacity. So We do Overwatch, Rocket League, Apex, Fortnite, and really any game that someone wants, we'll facilitate it. So if we have enough students, we're going to do it. So we also have Smash, and we're hopefully be able to do that next semester. It usually requires a bit more travel, but I think everybody's going to tack and kind of hopefully make it work.
Mm-hmm.
And then Valorant, maybe, and 2K teams. We're hopefully have an NBA 2K team in the fall, and then maybe NHL. We'll see. Being not close, but within proximity of DC, we got some good people in the Wizards organization that might be doing some crossover. Nothing official yet, but I just think those games really have some cool potential for students that might be not convinced to commit to esports, and you kind of get to dabble in the actual sports entertainment world too. So we are kind of, I guess, Chris Hanna, who's the head of Esports Observer. I was on a call with him, and he really nailed describing esports as pop culture. It's not sports. It's literally pop culture and everything that comes with that, which I thought was a perfect term to sort of capture what esports is right now. As you mentioned, it's broadcasting, it's AV work, everything that goes into it. So we really want to give students a pathway to a career in any one of those fields through esports, building your resume, your CV, soft skills. So we'll have a shoutcaster program, teach students how to create assets for Twitch, I guess no longer Mixer, but Facebook, YouTube, really anything. I just think it's super important to round out the experience and not just get it channeled through, competition. Of course, I think competition is great. So I think typically it's going to look like we'll have regularly scheduled practices like anything. We'll do VOD review or VOD reviews for whoever we're competing against and our own students, see where they are. We have a relatively medium-sized space right now for our esports lab or arena, but we're looking to outfit that and expand as much as we go. I think the sky's the limit. Program seems to be healthily growing, nice organic growth. We haven't really done a ton of heavy recruiting yet, but just because COVID has kind of thrown a wrench in the organization of everybody, I think. So we're going to see what that looks like, but we also don't limit our program to traditional competition. So we've done a Minecraft event with through Shenandoah actually University. I don't know if you've heard of them yet or talked to them rather. They've organized through one of their majors. There's a class that did a Minecraft project as like their final, and building the campus with 9 other schools in Virginia, and just kind of hopping on Twitch with some of the coaches and doing a little stream and judging session based on creativity, reality, or how close it is to reality, and just really we change the topic, the sort of the judging criteria each week, but it just goes to show that there is plenty of space for people who might be more not in the STEM field. We don't necessarily channel to computer science majors only, even though it obviously tends to work out that way, but we love to incorporate the arts and history and how that can fit with esports as well. So a lot of exciting things on the horizon for sure and happening now.
Yeah, sounds like you really have that holistic program, so to say, right? And that's one of my favorite words when talking about esports is a holistic approach, really showing that, like you said, holistic isn't only about playing competitively, right? Or esports isn't only playing competitively. There's so much more into it. And also having that, future ability and that foresight to realize that, like, hey, the chance of going pro after college is incredibly slim. It's about the same as NFL, NBA, the traditional sports, right? Probably even less, because one NFL team basically makes up the entire pro league for most of the tier 1 games, right? Most of the tier 1 games only have 40 to 50 players to begin with. That's a whole roster in the NFL, and there's 31 more of those, right? So really love to see that. And that's something I do want to ask you to expand on a little bit more is talk about what that program looks to you, what it's going to look like in developing these student skills in relation to esports to have that, future success in the workforce.
Sure. Yeah. So, communication skills is huge. I think anyone that's played video games, not even esports, has probably realized the metrics or the level of success increases with more communication pretty much across the board. So, through that, you can teach obviously things like sportsmanship. And we do start with fundamentals, which change per game. So, if X happens here, 95% of the time you shouldn't pursue, always fall back. And then as you build in those skills, you sort of, it becomes second nature. So it unlocks more processing power, if you will, in the brain in the moment. So we like to take that approach, and then we kind of expand on that to everything. So, code of conduct, how you present yourself, living a healthy lifestyle, eating healthy, and watching, your gameplay or performance in school in general improve. Teaching soft skills like public speaking, not just calm speaking to inner team communication. Community service. Really, I pitch to anybody that comes on board that I'm here as a resource for them, and I want them to be able to lean into this and know that when they come out of it, they will have something to put on their resume or CV. Like, we will find what that skill is, we'll develop it, and you can use us as a recommendation, which, a lot of students aren't really forward thinking in freshman year, say, or first year coming in, to say, okay, I need to start building a resume, or I'm going to be asked for a recommendation one day. So it's kind of cool that you can come to us and know in 4 years, we will hopefully have used these resources and the money that we're spending to make you a better person, to walk away. And if someone asks you, what is your favorite experience at Randolph College? Hopefully without hesitation, you'll say, I'm really glad that esports program was there. It developed this in me, or I was able to become this because of that. And, sort of, a lot of people have their dream job or dream scenario in their head. And it's interesting because a lot of times people will get there. So say you want to become a famous streamer or famous in general, and you realize that once you hit that point, maybe you have a lot of money or endorsements, but there's a lot of negativity that can come with that, public exposure, or anything, like there could be with any job. There's always gonna be drawbacks. So it's important to teach students that, it might be just as fulfilling to be that person's stream manager. It might be just as fulfilling to be the person that's making those affiliate sponsorship marketing deals or creating their overlays. And you're a part of it. You can say, I'm in the bubble of Dr. Disrespect, for example, but you're not actually in the hot seat every day. And you might find that that's just as fulfilling, and it's sort of a win condition. And I talk a lot about win conditions to my students and in esports in general, because it's important to set your own win condition, not necessarily go in with, if I don't achieve what someone else expects, then I don't win. I think esports is really interesting in that you really build yourself up through failure. So, Sonic or Mario back in the day, you have to lose to get better, because you realize next time I'm going to have to hit this brick, jump over that spinning fire loop, and, et cetera, et cetera. And I really think that fits well with students today, especially because they grow up with access to different technologies, different schools. It's really across the board. There's no sort of standardized student. And you see that with, students not really agreeing with standardized testing and the merits of that. So I think it's a perfect fit to sort of say, okay, we can help you find your own win condition, and let's get there together. And I really think it just works. It really works.
Yeah, 100%. I love that, a lot of those comparisons there, but being part of the team, that you're not necessarily the face. You can't measure like visibility as also like a failure, right? Just exactly along the lines of what you were saying there is, if you're part of the team of making Dr. Disrespect get those deals with G Fuel or, Gatorade or, Logitech or whatever his sponsors are, I'm not sure off the top of my head, like you're as integral to his success as he is to yours, right? Like, so really showing that team effort outside of just playing as a team in the game, right? Whether it's being a stream manager or being part of a production group or being part of a casting duo, it's a team for success. Absolutely.
100%.
Kind of going back a little bit to a couple other things that I want to pick apart or have you expand on is the sense of community at Randolph. Kind of you talking over it, just some of these responses, it really starts to show that the community isn't hyper focused on the competitive side, right? You have it, obviously it's very important. It's still an integral part, but also talk to the importance of having the public be easily outreach, right? Or having the casual community, the ones that just want to play for fun or watch esports. So talk about, that kind of aspect of everything in accordance with your community.
Yeah, sure. So you kind of nailed it, that we're not necessarily focused as far as hyper competitive. I do think esports is probably one of the most equitable, forms of competition, in the sense that a lot of smaller schools really are excelling in the last few years. And sort of just being in it in itself now, I think is really advantageous to say a school that just wait to get in for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
So we're lucky to have that support. But generally speaking, one of the missions is just sort of getting out in the community. When we stream, we try to use that as a platform to support other, calls to action that the school might have or the community, or just things that might not get an audience. So it's really hard at, say, a football match, to sort of promote just about anything that you want to. You're going to rely on sponsors and then the game itself, really. But it's really easy to throw up something at the bottom of a stream or an interstitial ad that we created that says, hey, guess what our physics department is doing? A science
Mm-hmm.
fest open to the community this weekend, et cetera, et cetera. The sky's the limit. So it's really a springboard to promote anything good that's happened in the community. And then through that, I think that we see a lot of outreach and people kind of putting out an olive branch or even just a virtual handshake and saying like, hey, I saw that. That's really cool. Do you mind doing X, Y, Z? And then we can see where we fit into that. So I think that's awesome. And on campus itself, we're a very small school, but we sort of promote this idea, our slogan or motto, if you will, is sort of being original and to live life abundantly. And that is perfect for esports because it really is originality that will set you apart and originality that will help you push other people to success if you don't want to be that person that's set apart.
Mm-hmm.
And all through, teamwork. So we've seen a lot of people who might be more introverted or shy realize that there's a space for them. And that's huge in building any community and keeping our esports lab hopefully open in the fall to where, we can support, if you want to use the machines that we've purchased for design purposes or your own project, like come on in, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
It's for you
Mm-hmm.
completely from every angle. So I think that also helps build community. We were founded as a women's college actually in 1891, I think, and we only went co-ed in the last, I think, 2008.
Yeah.
So we still have a large, you know, amount of support for sort of keeping in that tradition. And with that, we're lucky because we sort of differentiate and trying to differentiate ourselves by leaning into inclusion. And I think about 45% of our students already right now are female gamers and esports athletes or people that are interested in, which
Mm-hmm.
is really cool. And that's perfect because that's where it should be. When you look at the numbers of who is interested in esports, it is like 40 to 50%.
Mm-hmm.
So it's cool that we're able to represent reality in that. And I think that'll help in the future other schools get to where they want to be, but it also kind of makes it a more safe space for everybody. And it also helps teach people who might be used to a more toxic scene online,
Mm-hmm.
which all again leads into just building community.
Mm-hmm.
So that helps us just bring anyone into the fold that has even the slightest interest in any one of those things, whether it's video games itself, gaming, game creation, websites, content, filming,
Yeah.
editing, everything across the board. So it's really cool. It spreads the word. Like you said, it happens holistically and organically.
Mm-hmm.
And we want to be an asset to anyone that needs support. We really do. In Lynchburg in general, across Virginia, and we really are reaching out, doing tons of calls to organizations, just saying like, "Hey, we're here. This is what we're about." And, we want to grow beyond just we call it behind the brick wall, but
Mm-hmm.
we want to expand beyond that.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely adamantly love to hear all of this. I love to see these communities really develop into, like you said, holistic, growing, organic, because that's what esports needs, right? There is toxicity. I think the media gives it a really bad rep. I think it's a lot worse. I think they make it out to be a lot worse, but it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Doesn't mean it does. It needs to be eliminated. Especially, the sexist, the racism, all of that needs to
Absolutely.
go away. We have to work to do it, right? It's not going to be like, oh, do we have to ignore it? Like, no, we have to seek change and make that change. So love to see that happening actively at a university. All the other points, fantastic. Wish I could expand on them more, but unfortunately we are running out of time. Absolutely a number of fantastic points. I will have you answer one last question before we do have to end it. Looking for high school students, right? A lot of people that watch that as high school students, people that want to learn more about esports at the collegiate level. What's one piece of advice you would have for them and them just seeking to better themselves, so they're ready when they go to the next level to compete or be part of the community, whether it's production, casting, work studies, whatever it is. What piece of advice would you have for them to help them be ready when the time comes?
Yeah, definitely. So, going beyond doing what you love and practicing, I'll let that go, because obviously if they're want to be a player, I'm sure they're playing. So put the time in, but really raise your hand, put yourself out there. So create content as much as you can, and content is a very broad term. You don't have to be great at Photoshop or Adobe, but go on LinkedIn, type in esports in the search and start sending messages to coaches and people that fit. Don't blast and spam people, but if you think that they're a good fit for you, or you have something you can offer them or they can offer you, reach out. Go on eFuse, and sites like that, that are starting to build out portfolios for esports people in general. Twitter, Instagram, anything, TikTok, even, whatever it is. Type in esports, type in collegiate esports, get creative, search it out. I mean, it's out there, but in 5 years, it's going to be a lot harder to get in. So if you're listening to this now, absolutely, even if you're in middle school, high school, just reach out to whoever you can, and be genuine in that interaction. Don't just say, what can you do for me? But just say, here I am. This is what I want to do. And if I can help you at all, let me know. I think that's just really huge. A lot of people, if you're spending 8 hours a day gaming, or 6 hours or 4 hours, take that hour off that, or 2 hours off that, and get online and start creating. Write a blog post, write a newsletter, and ask people to follow you and share it. And you will get somebody that realizes your value for sure.
Yeah, 100%. And kind of expanding one last point there is the, branding and the content. A lot of people in esports just want to see the industry grow. So like someone might reach out to you, they're not a perfect fit for Randolph. They're like, hey, I know the college down the street, there you might be a perfect fit for them. So like it might take that second or third level, but everyone in this industry that wants to see it succeed will absolutely help you 100%. So
yeah, definitely.
Great advice there. Lastly, real quick, before I do have to wrap up, go ahead and plug Randolph College. Tell us where you exist in social media, where we can learn more if the viewers will read a little bit more about the program at Randolph.
Yeah, definitely. So reach out, Randolph College. We're in Lynchburg, Virginia. You can catch us on Twitch as well. We're Wildcat Esports. You can hit me up at joliver@randolphcollege.edu if you want to connect, and that's probably your fast track. So I'll just give you that. That's my email. Reach out. I'm here for the esports world. I definitely, as you said, take a we're in it together approach.
Exactly. Yeah, I think esports will succeed massively if we all take that approach, and I think a lot of people are. So love to hear it, love to see it. To all the listeners out there, thanks for staying the entire time. A lot of great content here. Hopefully in the future we can get on some longer podcasts and really dive into some of the issues that we were talking about with the industry as a whole, or collegiate specifically, and really expand and, like I said, seek change to make that change. So that's absolutely fantastic. Tell everybody out there, stay healthy, stay happy in the current pandemic. Make sure you're taking care of yourself. Be careful, be safe, and ultimately, stay plugged in.